There's been a minor change in the focus of what I was assigned, and given the 20 minutes, I'm going to start with a minor change, short, and then what I was assigned, short. So best thing to do is to forgive me if it doesn't work. The deviation has to do with the fact that, given that we have a distinguished guest here, I thought it might be useful to share with you some of our efforts to understand the architecture of the Tallinn manual. Oh, all right, no deviation. You can put it back in. I gave him the stick this morning. Let me tell you verbally what I would have shown you, and that is, you know, the Tallinn manual is about 600 pages, give or take, and 154 rules. Very, very, very dense. And I'm sure you've had, yes. So what I wanted to do is share with you a couple of network views of the Tallinn manual. Imagine that you've read it and you know what the subject is about, but you really want to know how are they connected to each other, why, and does it make any difference? And there may be other things that you may want to know. So I've taken the liberty of reminding you of what our visitor said, and that is that law provides something of a roadmap, and we might as well follow it. You know that the manual is in 4 segments, and each segment, this is the network view of the entire system. So one page, and I'd like to simply highlight. How nice! I didn't have that. That's not part of mine. This is a product of transforming the text into a decision structure matrix just for looking at the rules. So the focus of this is the rules. You can do this thing with the chapters or whatever it is. And then the rules are weighed by how important they are, calculating the eigenvalues. And the only thing I want to draw your attention to is the bigger rules, the bigger ones. It's no surprise that number 4 right there has something to do with sovereignty. And as you go down further, you will see that the sovereign element goes through and the connections to the others follow suit. Now, without knowing exactly what the rules are and having them by heart, it's difficult to make a sense of what this is. But imagine that you have this and you have a list of rules next to you, and just check. The alternative, of course, is to go through the 600 pages. Now, the reason we're interested in this is that not all rules are created equal from the point of view, not law, but from the point of view of the way they are addressed and treated in the Tallinn manual. And not all of them are connected to the rest of the legal system as well. Can we go on? Yeah. This is the specialized regimes, and the specialized regimes, air law, air, sea, and a few others. And pieces of those regimes that exist in place are taken up by the Tallinn manual and put in there. But still look, the dominance of 4. Can we? And this is international peace and security. And one more. And back there, notice that it's back there, it's not integrated in the whole thing, has to do with the law of cyber armed conflict. You could say that this can't possibly represent the Tallinn manual, and I will tell you that mathematically it does. It may not be the intent of the authors, but for us, it's very interesting to see the big ones are over here. There's only 92 over there. That is on the armed conflict. That's it. Yeah. So my suggestion is next time you look at the Tallinn manual, take your time and go through the 600 pages, and then think of the visual representation with the list next to you. Okay. Finito. Yeah. And now I'd like to turn to what was assigned to me. No? Yes. one of the notable presidential directives, notable meaning that not very much there to object to, is the one that was issued in May of this year, to try to, it's a directive to try to improve the nation's posture on cybersecurity. And specifically focus on these are the actions that have to be taken, context. So what we were concerned about is, all right, very nice, what is it that we think we can contribute to as an example to a research project designed specifically to contribute to the presidential executive order. And it occurred to us that there are some gaps in how we think about cybersecurity and what we think we ought to be doing. So what we decided to do is to do a test, a pre-test, a proof of concept around the notion that, around the hypothesis that there's lots of data around, there are lots and lots of tools to work with. The problem is that the data are all over the place and they're disconnected, and it takes an awful lot of time and effort to sew them together. Data on the cyber threats, etc., for critical infrastructure. Then there's lots and lots and lots of data and guidelines about what you should and should not do. Again, disconnected, etc. And one agency that puts it all together in some way, in at least one place, doesn't connect them, but puts them all together, at least you know where to go, is Nist, as an example. So we focused on seeing if we can develop a one-stop, full package set of tools to help industries or agencies or entities to steer through, figure out what data they need on identifying their cybersecurity problem, because this provides you reference models. If you're this is your reference model. If you're born as this may be helpful to you, period, new paragraph, another pile of data that says that, well, if you have this problem, we have guidelines for you, but they're over there. So the simple technical problem of seamlessness might help an analyst to really pull together what is relevant to them. An interesting thing about that is that what we're emphasizing here is there's a number two is not really stated rightly. It's not creating large data sets. We've got those. It is creating the tools for selecting and linking what you need. And I'm not arguing for big data. I'm saying whatever we have in here is plenty to start with. And once you've put together your database, then you really want a set of analytics to understand what's the problem, what's the issue down on the floor that we call the ground truth for my enterprise or your enterprise. All of these things we assume we do, but actually we do it descriptively, we don't do it systematically. Having gone through the proof of concept, I know for a fact that we don't have a full end-to-end, so to speak. The next bit of this is, after you've established the ground truth for the system, is, all right, enterprise responses. If this is our problem, if this is our dilemma, what do we do about it? Back again to this set of data on guidelines, directives, etc., as a starting point to see whether there's any kind of match there. And any undergraduate can do this quite easily. But the dilemma is that even if the undergraduate puts it together, which is matching guidelines that meet the problems that you have in your enterprise, there's still the minor matter of the CEO up there, plus that top layer, who really isn't quite understanding what's going on, nor would believe what an undergraduate says, or even the boss of his boss, and the gap between what is relevant to here and what is relevant to the as-is system and the ground truth is rather big. So part of the dilemma in the general area of national response to cybersecurity threats is organizational, as you know, and institutional, as you know, and ways of reducing the gap between them that direct and them that operate. So The end point is we would recognize that we got somewhere if these and these are consolidating, understand, agree in principle as to what might be a common response to a set of problems that they all know that they have, and has been validated by the fact that Nist has characterized their reference model and provides a set of tools to deal with them. Now, you will probably wonder what possible contribution could one little project related to improving our approach to the analysis of infrastructure threats and responses can make to the scheme of things. My answer would be that we've always argued more data, more data, more data, more data, and the fact of the matter is we don't know how to use the data that we have well, and we're certainly not connecting the response side, which is guidelines, which directives, thou shalt not do, a list of whatever it is, with what the nature of the diagnosis, the diagnostics has been. So we thought that if we're able to provide a supply chain of response patterns along the lines I've summarized, then the next step would be to see whether it's scalable. And if it's scalable, then we're moving in the right direction. If it's not scalable, too bad. That's it. Thank you.